the secret that your audience knows about you that you don't know. But I would dare say it's the secret that you need to know in order to communicate in a way that is going to make your nerves calm down. It's going to make you feel better about your content, and it is going to shortcut your preparation. Does that sound like a good thing?
Welcome to the Sam Linton Show, the podcast designed to help you shift your mindset, find your voice, and change your world. Sam is a pastor, coach, and expert communicator, helping leaders and entrepreneurs like you step into their purpose, speak with confidence, and make a lasting difference. So let's dive in.
Downstairs in my house, I have 3 children, and my daughter handed me this little note. And in the note was essentially the most important thing that I could show you about the next time you have to speak to somebody or the next time you have to communicate in a meeting. It's so important that it's kind of like this. I don't want to say it's a silver bullet. It's pretty close. There's no such thing as a silver bullet. I don't believe in that. But I will say that if you can understand this side of things, it's really going to help you communicate in a way that changes the trajectory of your ability to make a connection. So, with that said, welcome to the Sam Linton Show. I said a couple weeks ago, when I titled the Sam Linton Show, the only reason why it's called the Sam Linton Show is not because I'm vain. It's because I might not always talk about the same thing. So I could call this the Public Speaking Mindset Channel. I could call this the Business Owners Channel. I could call this Talking for Entrepreneurs. I could call it a bunch of things, but maybe someday I'm going to talk about just random things. Like, I'm not Candace Owens, but maybe I want to talk a little bit about Justin Baldoni and what's going on there. Maybe I want to. Not right now. I don't know enough, but maybe that's what I'm going to do someday. So it's going to be the Sam Linton Show. And occasionally we're going to have guests, and occasionally we're going to have, people that come on that have way more expert authority than me. So what I'd like for you to do, if you could do me a solid, is number one, like this podcast and subscribe. And if you like it, of course, subscribe. If you really like it, please leave a review. If you don't really like it, don't leave a review. You don't have to. Don't waste your time leaving a review. If you don't like it, that would be silliness. You have so much better things to do with your time than not liking my art. This is art. Okay, so don't do that. But if you absolutely love it, and you encourage somebody that you know that needs help with communication or mindset, then please share this and tell people about it, because that's the only way that I'm going to grow this channel and the only way that I'm going to keep putting out some banger content like what you're going to hear today. So today we are going to, I'm going to talk about this thing that I got that my daughter gave me. She's 9 years old, by the way. And if you're watching online, it's got a little Hello Kitty. It's got a Hello Kitty seal. So that means it's official. It's important. So you don't want to mess up. If somebody gives you something with a Hello Kitty seal, I would say, it's right up there with a red letter that you're going to get in the mail. All right. So today I'm going to talk to you about the secret that your audience knows about you that you don't know. But I would dare say it's the secret that you need to know in order to communicate in a way that is going to make your nerves calm down. It's going to make you feel better about your content, and it is going to shortcut your preparation. Does that sound like a good thing? Well, you better buckle up, because here it is. All right, so here's the secret. And I learned this from, and I've mentioned him before, Jon Acuff. He's a New York Times bestselling author. He is a keynote speaker. He is an overall awesome guy. And here is the secret. Ready? The secret is your audience is rooting for you. Let me say it again, because you might not, if you're not going, if you're not into how big of a deal that is, you're missing it. All right. Your audience is rooting for you to succeed. Now, I have another secret that I learned early on when I was a Dale Carnegie trainer, and I love Dale Carnegie. I've told you, the one secret that I learned from them is that nobody cares about you. Now, that doesn't mean, I don't mean that nobody cares about you, like your mom doesn't care about you and your children, your spouse, like that's not what I mean. But what I mean is like your audience, for the most part, they're not thinking about you before they get to your talk or to your meeting or the person that you're having to have that one-on-one with. They're not overly concerned about how you're feeling. But I want to take it a step further, because if we're going to increase confidence, we have to increase it by realizing what the audience is thinking. Your audience wants you to do well. They absolutely do. In most cases, like not if you're speaking and somebody's there to protest or whatever. Even in those cases, I think they want you to do well, believe it or not. And here's why. Because you have to realize that in their minds, they're thinking of themselves. They're thinking of what they're going through. They're thinking of what they have going on. They're thinking of their goals. They're thinking of their problems. They're not thinking about you. So when they are forced to go to a meeting that you're in charge of, when they're forced to go to a keynote that you are delivering, when they're forced to be, as I mentioned, at the wedding party where they have to listen to your best man speech or your toast or your opening prayer, they want you to do well. So most of the time what we do is when we get up to speak, we're immediately thinking this, all right? And here's what we're thinking. We're thinking that the audience is waiting for us to drop the ball, to fail, to really screw up royally. And like there's this nefarious plot. You weren't a part of the plot. Like you weren't a part of this. But like behind the scenes, they want you to be, they all got together before the meeting. And they're like, hey, guess what? Sam's going to be speaking in approximately 40 minutes. So you know what? I hope he bombs. Like, I hope that it is the suckiest thing. In fact, here's what we're going to do. Let's all just not engage. Let's just stare at him and pray that he fails. Now, I know that's a caricaturization of the scenario, but here's a little kind of a hard truth to swallow. That's how you think people think of you, right? Like you're thinking that everybody's thinking negatively of you, right? We have that confirmation bias, and we confirm in our minds. Confirmation bias is when you look at the world around you and you borrow evidence from the world as to why things are the way that you already believe that they are. So, like, you know, there was an article that I read, a satire article. It was either from The Onion or Babylon Bee. I'm not sure, but it was after some of the presidential debates. Pick your year, 2016, 2020, 2024. It doesn't make a difference. But it says, nation convinced that the debate performance of this particular candidate proves that they are voting exactly the right way. In other words, it made no difference. Like the debate performance is essentially kind of bring out what you already believed about that candidate. Oh, looky, they were so masterful of their communication. That shows they can't be trusted. Oh, they were like a bully. Or that they were humble in the way that shows that they're not competent, right? Like confirmation bias is that you're going to take whatever is going on around you and you're going to use that as evidence to fortify what you already believe. Does that make sense? I'm hoping it makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, then this isn't going to make sense. Because what we have to do with our speaking is we have to realize that the audience is not, in fact, rooting for you to fail. Because, I mean, think about this. The reason why they're rooting for you to succeed is because if you succeed, then they don't have to sit through a sucky presentation, right? Like, think about that. So, like, I'll give you an example. Let's say you had a meeting with your boss, and the meeting involves the whole entire work group. Like, everybody's involved. We're all getting together. It's a big thoroughfare, right? And your boss starts off that conversation and begins to talk while everybody's listening. Are you in a better position if your boss does well, or if your boss is terrible and has a horrible meeting and it goes south and it's terrible? Who benefits when it goes terribly? Well, the answer is not really anybody. If you deliver that keynote and it's the last thing, like I did a keynote one time, which I have done keynotes and I do keynotes. So if you're interested, that's one of the services I offer. But if I did a keynote, I'm at the very end of this massive meeting that I was doing with a group of nonprofit leaders, and I had an hour to speak before I sent them home. So it was hundreds of people, an hour to speak. So do you think those people want that hour to go fast, or do you think they want it to go slow? Do you think they want to laugh, or do you think they want to be like, oh man, how many times can I check my watch? Do you think that they want that hour to involve interaction, or do you think they want that hour to be boring as all get out? Well, think about it. If you've been in that role, you know exactly what you want. You want the presenter to do well. You don't want to have that story next day at the break room. Oh man, that was another sucky talk, right? So what does my daughter handing me this little thing here? Okay, what is this? It's a little paper for those of you that aren't watching this, that you're listening to it. The paper says, simple. It says, Tea Party, you're invited. Forgive that Y-O-U-R as opposed to Y-O-U''R for those of you that are grammar Nazis. She's in grade school, so have a heart, you psychos. But you're invited. And I want you to imagine this for a moment, all right? Picture your next talk, whatever it is. Like if it's an individual talk where you are having a one-on-one with somebody, or if it's a meeting that you have to run, or if it's a sales pitch. I want you to picture that before that meeting, your person, your audience, maybe if it's a large group, they selectively hand you this piece of paper. You open it, and in it, it says, you are invited to rock this thing. I mean, kill it, like slay. And you are invited to do that. Like that's exactly what your audience does for you every time you speak. You are given an open invitation to kill it, to have fun, to forget yourself, to bring value, to do the thing that you're there to do. And you're going to do it better than anyone because you're qualified to do it. So this helps you to cut through the noise of like, I don't know if they want me to do well. And like, I feel like I'm going to mess up and they're going to do this and that. Like, get out of your head. You have a choice, either stay in your head or slay in the room. Stay in your head or slay in the room. Those are your options. If you stay in your head, it's over. Like you are your own worst enemy. If you stay in your head, you're not going to connect to people. You're not going to be yourself. You're going to be thinking that everybody is trying to make you look or sound bad, and you're not going to do well. But if you come out of your head and realize that you've got that invitation, Hello Kitty wrapping and all, you have that invitation to kill it. And when you kill it, you will become the hero of that talk by making your audience experience a presentation that matters. So how do you do this? You're like, okay, well, what do? I'm going to give you 3 things to consider, and then I'm going to give you kind of 3 tips. All right, so 3 considerations. So first one, and these are things that this is in your head, and the second is in the room. All right, so the first 3 is in your head, second is in your room. So if you're a note taker, this is your time to take notes. This is your time to shine. If you know somebody that always worries about how they're perceived when they're speaking, share this episode with them. Say, hey, Sam wanted me to share this with you because I think this will help you. And if you really, really feel so inclined, please rate this episode and share on social media why this impacted you. All right. So here are the 3 mental tips. 3 mental tips. Number 1, nobody is thinking about how you feel, but how you look. Nobody is thinking about how you feel, but they're thinking about how you look. So you might be like, I'm so nervous and I'm afraid and I don't know. Nobody is thinking about that. They're not going, I wonder how you feel. Wonder if he feels good. Wonder if he feels confident. I wonder if she feels like she's comfortable in her own skin. Nobody is thinking of that. Nobody. But what they are thinking of is they're thinking of how you look. So in your mind, instead of focusing on how you feel, pay more attention in your mind on how you look. What's your posture like? What is your demeanor look like? How are you dressed? Like, do you look like you just rolled out from under a rock, or are you looking pretty fly? You know what I'm saying? You bring in your A game. You dress it in your Sunday best, right? Second consideration for the brain. If it goes well for you, it goes well for them. If you kill it, they enjoy it. If you connect, they're feeling connected too. It's a win-win. That's one of the amazing things about presentations and communication. If it goes well for you, the likelihood of you having a satisfied audience, customer, whatever, it goes well for them too. The relationships are integrally connected. So as you're thinking through, they want you to do a better job than even you want to do. You want to do so much. They want you to do so much better than even you could imagine. So that's what you want to think of going into your mind. Okay, next of all, think of a conversation and not of a presentation. Now, I am a big proponent of you should not, it really should not be over focused on notes. Now, if you have regular meetings all the time where your content is changing and it's back and forth a lot, I get it. You might need to use more notes. If it's data heavy, I coach a lot of engineers. I've coached a lot of people in the medical profession. I did a training for a group of medical professionals, and it's data all day. But here's the thing. You want to be thinking in terms of conversation, not presentation. So your mind has to go on, like, what kind of conversation am I having here with these people? Like, what is it that I'm doing? So am I having a conversation? Am I actually focused on connecting? Or am I going to focus on the data? I got to make sure the data is good. I mean, give them the spreadsheet. For crying out, just give it to them. Don't hold back. Don't you hold that. Give that to them. And it's your job. Your job of the presentation is not to introduce the information. Your job is to clarify and connect the information to the people that you're presenting it to. Your job is to make the connection. So that's how you want to think through your conversation. You got to think of it in a conversational way, not in a way that is, how do I say this? Not in a way that is just you spewing data like a data fountain. Like, imagine that. Like, imagine just you go to a big, beautiful fountain and there's just spreadsheets coming out and numbers coming out and bleh, gross. Now, some of you that are extra into the data, that might bother you that I said gross. But remember, most people are not visual. Most people are not auditory learners. A lot of people are visual learners. They take it in from the eyes or something they can put their hands on. That's where you come in as a presenter. How you start matters. How you start matters. So when I am opening, my big thing is I want to create a rapport. I want to create a connection. So if you believe that your audience wants you to do well, the best way is to assume that with your open. Now, here's a pro tip, and we'll get to, in the coming weeks, opens and closes and how to open a talk and how to close. We can talk about all that. And if I'm coaching you, I'll frame that up for you and we'll explore different options. But for my clients, that's what I do. I try to help them to make that connection. But my suggestion is don't open with a lame opener again. Don't open with, it's February in Pittsburgh and it's a little chilly last night. And who had a chance to, stop this. Stop doing these things. But you want to start with an open that builds rapport, builds suspense, makes a connection. So if I were opening a talk, I would start off just like I did in this podcast. I would say, my daughter handed me an invitation wrapped in Hello Kitty, and it contains the secret to every single presentation I've ever done. Okay? Now, right off the bat, I'm not talking about, hi, my name is Sam Linton. I'm a public speaking coach, and I'm an executive trainer, and blah, blah, blah. None of that. Nobody cares about that. But that opener caused my audience to what? To lean in. Oh, tell me more. What is this? What is this mythical thing that your daughter has given you? Perhaps I could have that thing. Perhaps maybe that could be for me. And you're getting them to connect without trying to introduce yourself. I would rather let my content dictate the need for you to want to know me. Let me rephrase that, okay? I would rather let my content dictate the need for you to want to know more about me. I'm going to spend an entire podcast episode just talking about opens, because this is where we kind of blow it right off the bat. I call them lame opens. So when you get up to talk, whether it's for one person or whether it's for 100 people, you don't want to be like, I'm so glad to be here today, and my name is Sam Linton, and I do talking, and I'm a pastor, and like you give them your resume. It's basically just read them your LinkedIn profile. Like they don't care. I don't want to explain, like I've been doing this for 10 years. I've been a pastor for 20 years. I've been a coach for 10 years, whatever. I want you to know that what I'm saying matters based on the value that I'm bringing, not based on how my intro is. So start with some sort of opener that builds rapport, builds a connection. Hey, you know what? I was at an event for the Rotary Club, and I was speaking at an event for the Rotary Club, and I hope they don't mind that I said this, but the person that introduced me used the word Rotarian. I didn't even know that word existed. Like I had never, like if you were to ask me, like, is there a word that you think you'll never ever use in your life? I would say the word Rotarian would be that word. It was referring to people that are a part of the Rotary Club, Rotarian. All right. So when I got up, instead of saying, hi, my name's Sam Linton and I live in Pittsburgh and I like long walks on the beach and I look really, really good in a certain color, gray, and it makes me, no, nobody cares. So what I said was my goal for the rest of my life is once a day I want to use the word Rotarian, because I didn't even know that word existed. So now what happened is I'm piggybacking off of the person that spoke before me, and I'm funny. It was funny. It was, maybe 3 people laughed, but it was funny to me. Like it built that rapport because that showed that I was focusing on them. So you realize your audience is rooting for you when you start with a warm open. Next of all, read the room, but don't over obsess about the room. So meaning, here's the way this might look. Read the room by looking at people and seeing that people are paying attention. And, that means you might have to make eye contact. And God forbid, don't read your notes. If you open up a speech and a conversation and start to read, I will come through your phone and I will grab your face like the alien face hugger and just pull your face away from it's kind of violent, I'm sorry, but I don't want you to read, because you're showing that you're more concerned about your content than you are about your audience. So you want to be looking around the room and make eye contact with a couple people. You'll get a couple nods. It's actually way more effective. When I'm coaching people, I will coach them to kind of play the room, to kind of look around the room, to kind of get an idea of the room and what's going on in the room, because it shows that you are more confident when you're willing to focus on the audience. Because you're not delivering your talk to your notes, you're delivering your talk to the people in the room. So read the room, and when you see somebody nodding, boom, that person, they're rooting for you, they're cheering for you, they want it to go well, they want you not to bore them, they want you not to flub, they want you to enjoy yourself, because if you enjoy yourself, they're going to enjoy themselves. When I first started speaking publicly, I would get such joy when my mentor would be sitting in the audience and they'd be looking at me. I'd be seeing them and you could tell they were rooting for me. Their body language, they were face forward, they were into it. And I felt like in those moments, I could do this. The next thing is when you're thinking and preparing this, end with some sort of a win, something where this whole talk kind of really showed you that you were winning together, right? So think about this. Like you want to have a vision where your talk and your communication was a shared experience. So think through, like, what would I want us all to, hey, we all did this together. We made it. Now, you don't want to ever apologize and go, oh man, I was so nervous that this wouldn't go well. No. Hey, but we did this. This was fun. We had 20 minutes of unadulterated fun. So in your mind, think this through and think about how it matters. All right. Here's the greatest compliment anyone could give you when you're speaking. The greatest compliment anyone could ever give you, ever. I don't care what field you're in. I don't care how often you speak. The greatest compliment anyone could ever give you is, oh man, you're done already? That meeting was so short. So the best compliment I ever got was somebody told me, I didn't know you were a pastor and I didn't know you were capable of miracles. And I said, well, what was my miracle? And they said, you made an hour feel like 2 minutes. And I was like, like literally wrote it down. I was like, that's so, and I kept that in mind. Now, I'm not saying I'm the best speaker, but if you can get people to realize, I didn't know that an hour went by, you are a rock star. Your audience wants to experience that. They want to experience that connection. They really, really do. Because then they will feel like they didn't waste their time and they actually got something out of the time they spent hanging out with you. So, to recap, open with something that builds rapport, brings them in. Second of all, make sure you read the room and make eye contact. And if you see somebody paying attention to you, realize they're in your cheer section. And number 3, end with something that makes them feel like we all won together. Here we are all having so much fun. Now, I'm going to share with you next time on the thing that will absolutely destroy your meeting, your talk, your keynote, whatever, that's going to destroy it right off the jump. All right. So next time, like the one thing that speakers do that absolutely tanks their talk, it's almost irredeemable after this point. I hate to build it up that way, but boy, oh boy, is this going to really, really mess up your talk. So don't miss that. That's episode number 3. So I'm going to talk to you about that one thing. But if you know somebody that needs help, share this podcast. If you are interested in my coaching, if you'd like me to help you have executive presence, that's what I do. So I can work with you. It does not take that long. What it takes is you intentionally applying these things, because what happens is you are going to shift your mindset. You are going to develop a different set of skill set, and then you're going to change your world as a result of the time that you put in to become a better communicator. So thank you for joining the Sam Linton Show, and we will see you next time.